Good morning, everybody. This is Gavin Higashi, and this is my Positive Insight interview. I'm actually excited. This is number 80. I feel like every time I hit 10 videos, it's like a little milestone for me. So 20 videos to go until I hit the 100, which will be pretty fun. Makes me feel like I accomplished something.
You'll do it. You'll do it.
Thanks, man.
Centurion.
Yeah, Centurion. That's right. So the reason why I do these videos, again, is to breathe positivity in social media and specifically Facebook and really introduce you to people that are an influence on me, that either have been an influence on me personally or in my career. And today is no exception to that rule. And I have Dan Fortune with me today. So Dan, tell us a little bit about who you are.
A father of one.
Yes.
I have a little girl.
She's adorable.
Her name is Avery, and I'm married to an incredible woman. Her name is Rachel. And I do real estate and investing. I'm with Your Castle. I've got a team of about 30 plus agents.
Wow.
And we work all over Denver Metro. And you're my title guy.
Hey,
so
thank you for that.
There's nothing more important, right?
I don't know that I've ever had anyone in the 80 videos tell me that I'm their title guy. Gosh,
I have a lot of respect for you.
I really, really appreciate that.
You give to people. I met you walking by. You were teaching a class about social media, and I was like, I don't know anything about that. He seems cool. So
I was going to bring that up. I mean, the first time we met, you were just getting rolling and working with Ken, and just said, hey, we should meet, and we did, and I appreciate that opportunity. Man.
Yeah.
So
Ken was my mentor, amazing man, who's flying overseas right now. So
that's the one thing I admire. Son. You guys travel, and I love that. You guys live life to the fullest for sure. Let's just kind of get into it. First of all, thank you again for the time. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on, and I just appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. But let's kind of get into it. So
24 hours in a day, no busier than anyone else.
Very nice. And there's
24 hours,
close, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. What's your whys? Like, what motivates you? What drives you? What gets you going?
Yeah, family for sure. Like, that's kind of family and friends. I used to be in the military, and they say like during war and all that stuff, you're not really fighting for God and country or fighting for the guy in the foxhole next to you.
Right.
And I would say it's kind of the same thing. Like, I've got a lot of big ideas or whatever, but my main whys on a daily basis are my family and my friends.
Very cool. So. I think that's, I had one agent that I had interviewed, and he said, what monster doesn't say their family, right? It's true. Like, why else are we doing it? Once you have family, why else are you grinding, you know?
Yeah. But if you enjoy your family, I guess.
Yeah.
So in business, a lot of people they say like we're a family and stuff, but not everybody has a great family.
Yeah.
So I don't tend to use that word a lot because family can have pretty negative connotations. Yeah. But I found that friends, like, you pretty much like your friends.
Yeah.
So we say we're a close group of friends.
Yeah.
And I see my wife, I would say the same. We're best friends, and hopefully be good friends with my daughter. Hopefully she likes me.
I have no doubts in my mind that will be the case. I have no doubts in my mind. So can you think of an experience maybe that you've gone through that you really grew from, or that was really just a positive impact on you?
Well, I can think of one that's had a positive impact that originally was not so positive. Like, I blew out my knee in my early 20s or early 30s. And I had that feeling of kind of invincibility. I recently turned 40. And when I turned 40, I didn't have this midlife crisis in July.
Oh, I just turned 42.
Man, welcome.
2 weeks ago.
Looks good on you.
Hey,
good on you. Yeah.
So,
like, I didn't have what I'd call that kind of midlife crisis or any of that. I feel like I had that in my mid or early 30s when I blew out my knee, because I just realized that I was vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it really just kind of changed my mindset on what I was doing with my life. And I think it kind of made me do a lot of thinking about how brief life is. And that sounds negative, but I don't think it is if you put it in the context of doing things that are meaningful every day, because it isn't forever. And we have a hard time as humans, like, identifying with I am going to die, right? Yeah. And I would much rather do that earlier and then live purposefully. And that situation really helped me, because it put me on my back for a long time. It took away something I loved doing, which was playing sports. And it took that away from me for about 4 years. So that was an experience that in the time didn't feel positive, but the long-term benefits, I'd say, have been immense.
Yeah.
And no midlife crisis.
Exactly. That's, I haven't gone through a midlife crisis.
Good.
So hopefully that doesn't happen, because I feel like midlife crisis is almost like it's just all stems from not really seeing what you have and not really seeing where you want to be, right? So
yeah. Unmet expectations or unmet dreams.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe feeling like, hey, I don't have enough runway to get there.
Right.
But the founder of KFC became wildly successful in his like 70s.
Because
that's what I tell older people that are always like, well, I'm too old for that. I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
40's still young. My 30s were awesome, but I'm really looking forward to my 40s. I feel like there's a lot to be.
Staying active and healthy, I think, is key.
Yeah.
It's not that your body's necessarily breaking down so much. It's that you're doing things that, you probably used to be active and now you haven't been because you're working or doing all these things.
Right.
And then you try and go out and be as active as you were before. And then you get hurt. And then everybody's like, oh, it's because I'm old. It's like, no, it's because you're out of shape. You're out of shape because you're not active. It has nothing to do with your age.
You're absolutely right.
So
I'm going to say it's because I'm old. So let's hope I don't get injured.
Old's a mindset.
Old is a mindset.
For sure.
100%. You think, we were talking about the Centurion 100, right?
Yeah.
Think of how many people are living into their hundreds now,
absolutely.
to where the half age is basically 50. So you figure you got a lot of life ahead of us.
Yeah. So then it's just quality of life, right? It's like, that's great. I can live to 110 or something like that. What do I do to extend my quality of life to where the quality of life doesn't go away at 75,
right,
or 65 or 55, whatever it is.
Right. Still very young.
Yeah.
A lot to be accomplished in those later years for sure.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. So we're not even close.
No, we're just getting started.
We got a long ways to
babies,
go.
baby faces.
That's right. You are. I'm struggling. Trying to keep my neck out. That's funny. Well, and this is kind of off subject, but I just know from getting to know you over the years, I know how much military had meant to you, and how much time you kind of spent in that. How old were you when you got in, and really, like, what was the mindset of going in that direction? Like, if that's a okay question to ask.
Yeah, that's a great question. So fear is what led me in the direction. I joined the military when I was 18. I grew up, we didn't have very much money. And so that was the way for me to get into a good school and get a good education and be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And so that's really that. And then kind of the fear of, I wasn't sure how I was going to provide for my family after school. And so that gave me like a long-term tail. So my objective was to go to a good school, get a good job, be able to provide for my family. Like that was my thinking at like 7. And the Air Force Academy kind of helped me lay that groundwork.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that's a whole nother layer, right? Just the Air Force Academy, just with what an accomplishment that is. And just,
it was a good place.
It's hard to get into, man. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
I slid by.
You slid
under the radar.
You got by with a 2-1 at the Air Force Academy. I doubt it. Well, it's impressive. And I bring that up because I just think it's such an awesome accomplishment. So,
it was the Air Force treated me incredibly. You got to work with all different races and creeds and colors and everything. You have this big melting pot of people. And that's what I think the military is a great example of how, especially the U.S. military, how you can be highly, highly successful and take people from every different background, crunch them together, and with the right training and leadership can be highly successful. It was a perfect place to be to learn that.
I think that's the key, is like how many people in this world don't get the right leadership and training, right? Yeah. And get the right direction. So that's really cool.
That was valuable. And at 18, right? Yeah. I kind of wish I could start over because I didn't even realize how valuable it was. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Youth is wasted on the young, all those things. So, but a lot of it seeps and leaks in, right? You get it, pieces of it. And then later on, you're able to, I think, go back and reflect on it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of us, and not to deviate, but there's a lot of us that go through life, right? Just kind of to the next thing. Because if we don't have that right mentorship or that right training early, like you don't really learn how to set that direction and how important that is to set that direction. Like you joke about, since you were 7, wanting to provide for your family, like that's such a powerful vision that can guide you through your entire life, right? But there's a lot of people in this world that just don't have that light direction. So that's cool. And to have it at 18, that's awesome. So I was working a lot.
Good for you. I was too. I started working at 12, building fences, and then lifeguard and checker at a grocery store and all that type of stuff. So I knew that I didn't want to be in that space and try and provide for a family at $6 an hour or what I was. I was like, what's the other option? And I'm thankful that I had enough mentorship as being young to realize that education is the opportunity that comes with education.
Right.
And not everybody understands that.
Right.
And so I had that instilled in me. So then where do I go for the education was my next question.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
That brings up a whole nother point.
No, let's go. There's no
this
agenda
is
here.
great.
No
This is like
agenda.
great for me. Brings up a whole nother point. Something that I've learned too is like every opportunity, every job, every interaction you have with people, if you're not looking at for the opportunity to learn from it, regardless of what you're making. I mean, my first job was making $4 an hour washing dishes, and I swear by that job. Like I learned so much from that job, and I just think that people need to realize like everything's a stepping stone, and if you just look at it for what it is, then it's probably not going to work. You actually have to look at it for the long-term opportunity to learn.
100%. Like that's a growth mindset.
Yeah.
That's what you just described.
Yeah.
And you had that very early.
Yeah.
Which is
I didn't
why
realize
you're successful.
Yeah, I didn't realize it till now.
Yeah.
Dang it. I should have realized. Wasted on the youth. So who do you follow? Who inspires you? I know there's a lot of people, but books, podcasts, that kind of stuff.
So I really enjoy reading, and by reading I mean listening. So
Audible.
Yeah. So I listen. My wife calls it like listening to the chipmunks. So I do like 1.75 or even 2x.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. So I do a lot of that. I get through probably 30 or 35 books a year doing that, and I like it. It's really fun, and it allows me to be out and about. I'm reading a book right now, actually on mindset, which I think is phenomenal. I read Lean In, which is the CEO of Facebook, a female, Susan Sandberg, talking about stereotypes and glass ceilings and stuff like that, and what can be done to bypass them, which I think was a pretty powerful book. Another book called Enlightenment Now, which is one of Gates's favorite books. And that, I would say, a lot of times you're reading about the world and things that are going on or watching the news and you get kind of down. And this book is all kind of data-based. And it says like, this is what's happening and where the world is getting better. Like you get done and you're just like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing, because you realize like we are reducing diseases. There's better drinking water. Kids are learning to read, amount of people that have food, like all of this is getting better. And so I think that helps us be more motivated to do good things, because it doesn't just feel bleak. And it certainly doesn't say that there's nothing wrong in the world. There's still things to be done. But to feel better that we're making progress as a species, I think is pretty good. My wife definitely is a motivator for me, an encourager for me, which I'm really lucky, because not every relationship is that way. Like I wouldn't be doing the things I'm doing because I think I grew up with a very fixed mindset, and I was afraid financially. And so I was either going to become a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer. And I ended up doing the engineering thing. And it was simply just to provide for my family. And she basically was like, you can live off ramen. Let's just do what we want to do.
So awesome.
So that was really powerful. So she's allowed me to basically kind of go after my dreams. Which is very, very powerful.
Well, when you have someone that believes in you as much as she believes in you, I mean, I see how much you guys travel and how much you guys are doing for everybody else, either through the groups that you guys are associated with, or just the travel. I mean, seeing what you guys are doing with that, it's really cool, man.
It's cool.
It's very unique too, because I think very similar to like you were talking as an engineer. Like I look at, okay, I'm doing this because that's what's providing. But there's such a bigger world out there, and we limit ourselves so much in that. So it's cool that you have that belief from someone so close to you. My father-in-law, mentor, kind of somebody I try and model after. I think one of the biggest things is to have somebody to try and model our lives after, and not finding a perfect person, because we'll always be looking, but finding a person or a group of people that have, I mean, it's kind of like what you're doing with these interviews, right? Like these are some things that should be modeled or could be looked at as, and that, like Ken is that for me, a male model of someone that I try to emulate. And he's got 2 girls and a wife that adore him. And it seemed the way he lived his life was able to provide for his family, but also have a real tight-knit group of people that care for him. And connect. Cool. So, and then I've got a group of guys that I meet with every Monday. I have been since 2008. And we basically just kind of talk about life and kind of lift each other up when stuff gets crappy. Sick kid or death or something like that. And then we celebrate with each other when somebody has, gets a promotion, or, Cody. Cody just had a baby girl 2 days ago. So, nice.
We celebrate with each other. So that's big. That's big.
I love that camaraderie, right? And your group of the ones, at least the guys that I know, is very, very tight knit, and you can tell that you guys hold each other up, Well, didn't you guys like live together at one point?
A few of us as adults.
Sorry,
Animal House.
Exactly, which
at the Acropolis.
Awesome. It's pretty awesome. But it shows that just how important community and that relationship is when you guys push that out into the world as well. I mean, I know I see that. That's a cool thing.
The background that a lot of people might not know is like Rachel and I were living downtown. We were broken into at 3:00 in the morning and attacked.
Okay.
And
oh gosh.
Yeah, it was scary. Like, and so after that happened, there's kind of like PTSD type of thing going on, right? Sure. You know, the police came and all that. It was a really scary experience. And we left 2 days later for Uganda because we were doing a volunteer trip over there. And while we were there, Rachel was like, I don't know if I want to be home alone at night. And I was traveling for work a little bit.
Yeah.
And she came up with the idea, what if we buy a really big place with a bunch of our friends and live there for a couple of years and see what happens? So cool. You know, we had a group of friends that were like open to a crazy idea, and yeah, it ended up going well. But it came out of
so much value in that, though.
It was amazing. Yeah. I mean, it came out of like so much of life became really beautiful out of that, but it came out of a kind of a terrible situation, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, like you said, you're always either building, kind of creating a relationship. The time that you're spending is always, you know, it's never wasted.
Yeah.
So
it's also how you interpret and look at those bad situations, right?
Yeah, that's mindset.
Like, oh, that happened to me and poor me, or like, oh, maybe this is leading me in a different direction to like look at other opportunities, and it's really cool.
Well, and for the day or two, I mean, it was a pretty terrible experience.
For sure.
We were pretty freaked out. We put all of our stuff in storage because we didn't want to stay there anymore.
Sure.
Because we didn't feel safe. And then we left to go to Uganda. And while we were there, that's when Rachel was like, look, as terrible as that felt, like that's really small compared to what we were, when we went to Uganda, we were working with child soldiers and things like that. It was like the perspective of what we had was really kind of inconvenient. And yeah, it was real and it bothered us, but like we don't have it as terrible as it felt at the time. We've got people around us that love and care about us, and we have the ability to be in a safer place. So yeah, the perspective, the mindset on it, I think is pretty important. And going to Uganda helped. Really good.
I'm sure. Until you actually see other people's struggles and you see the reality of other people's lives, it's hard. It's easy to take our lives for granted because we live it every day. Like you just don't get to see what other people go through. So.
Yeah, and we feel like the center of the universe, and my life is this and so hard and all that, but most of us are in pretty good shape.
Shit, I could talk to you for hours, so I'll just kind of stay focused. So just to wrap it up, like a quote or a mantra that you kind of wake up to or live by.
When I wake up, I say to myself in the morning, I'm a great husband. I am a great dad. I'm happy, healthy, and wealthy. I say that every morning to myself with my hands on my sides, because I don't have a cape, but I should get one. if you know a good place to get one, let me know. The research on the brain and the body and the connection says that by standing in a position, like a superhero position, right, it actually increases endorphins and changes our mindset. So that's why I do it. The scientific research behind it. I tell myself those things, not because I am those things every day, but by reminding myself, I think it pushes me in the position to be that. And that is the goal of who I want to be. And if you have a computer and you're watching this, or you have a Facebook account, you are wealthy compared to the rest of the world. Right. We are. And I think if we really just sit down and look at the comparison of what we have versus what we don't have, if you're getting to watch this, you fall into the wealthy category, so you can go ahead and tell yourself you are. We have a lot to be thankful for.
I completely agree. Well, that's awesome. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to look for a cape too.
All right. We'll get matching capes.
Yeah, there you go. We'll get matching capes. Thank you so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it. I honestly could probably talk to you for another 40 minutes, but I don't know that everyone will want to hear that for that long.
We'll chat after.
We'll chat after. Thank you, everyone, again, for your continued support. Again, I love doing these videos. I just like this interview. It just gets you introduced to the people that are in this world that just have such a big influence. So make sure you're out there talking to everybody and just getting to know their story. So thank you so much for the time. Have a really, really great week. And thank you again. I appreciate it.